Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to our next highly illogical podcast where we talk the doctors of Star Trek. I am your host this week, Cousin Cheeto, and I am being joined by two excellent Trekkies. Of course, my partner in crime, as always, Zammy Burnham. Terrible name.
Sorry, it was going to be Admiral Zamway, but I've done that a few times now.
I'd rather you do that a million times than go
Okay.
route. Anyway, and we have a new guest with us today. It is Comrade Captain Lee.
Greetings, comrades. Welcome from Soviet Russia.
All right, well, let's jump in.
Greetings.
So how we're going to format this is we are going to just go through the line of the doctors. We're going to kind of talk a little bit on each doctor, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we can probably go in and start talking about our favorites, our favorite episodes, and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. We're going to start with Dr. Leonard McCoy, the original. And I'm also going to get in, I will also do Kelvin timeline, but I'm doing just the original prime timeline Leonard McCoy at the moment. So I'll start off. Leonard McCoy he was okay. I actually watched a couple interviews earlier today with him. He's actually very, very nice gentleman. Comes off as a bit racist on the show, but that's a product of the 60s. But yeah, I mean, I don't have many notable memories of McCoy. Of course, in Star Trek 3, he got the Katra or I'm sorry, Star Trek 2, he got the Katra, and then it got out of him in Star Trek 3. So I mean, he was pretty major there. His antics with Kirk and Spock are notorious throughout the ages. I will start with our guest today, Comrade Captain Lee. What are your thoughts on Dr. Leonard McCoy?
Oh, so many thoughts. Like, one, he's my favorite doctor. And we're not talking Doctor Who. I'm like, as far as Star Trek doctors go, he's the absolute favorite. He's the lovable, conservative gentleman with the heart of gold and yet completely a curmudgeon. And I'm sorry, in Star Trek, the motion picture, when he first appears with that 70s beard and that chain and that giant-ass medallion, like, I'm just like, I'm not gay, but I want to hit that. Like, that is just so tacky and so amazing. But no, DeForest Kelley is an actor, a wonderful human being, and he portrayed that character so well throughout the series, throughout the movies. I think they really fucked him over in Star Trek 5. That was just a giant travesty. But no, he's great. I just love how he's just so cranky at everything. And no matter how many times he argues with Spock's, he always loses and yet never gives up.
All right, Zam.
Yeah, I think he loves Spock more than he would ever dare to say. Which is they've got that sort of like bromancing going on where they do bicker like a couple. But I also like DeForest Kelley as Dr. McCoy. I mean, damn it, Gene. I'm a fucking actor, not a doctor. And I feel sorry for him because he was mainly a doctor for most of his career. And he actually did despise the role after a while. He wanted to do other stuff and it was stuck with him. But sometimes actors need to realize that, to have a role and be, on you and people recognize you for that, that's worth a lot. And he will be remembered forever. Even if unfortunately not for other things as an actor, at least for that, which was in a groundbreaking show. And I loved him the most in Star Trek 3. That was my favorite moments of Bones when he was infused with the Katra and he was acting like a Vulcan at times, and it was so fucking funny. And some of the scenes, like the guy with the ears in that cantina, hilarious. I loved it. Him trying the Vulcan grip and stuff like that. So funny. Those were my favorite scenes of his. And but by the time you watched Star Trek 6, him and Spock, they were bros in that one. Like, yeah, you want me to rig a missile? Yeah, fascinating. Let's do it. You know what I mean? No bullshit. No fucking what the fuck are you thinking about with the goddamn ears? None of that. I loved it. And he's unfortunately not with us anymore, but he will be always remembered as one of the greatest fucking characters in Star Trek and one of the greatest characters in television.
Oh, absolutely. Cannot agree with you more.
Yeah, I mean, and it's sitting here listening to you guys talk about it actually made my heart grow for him three times its size. Because you're right. I mean, he's very lovable. He's very down to earth. He's very, yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, he is one of the cornerstones of Trek, and I think that he was amazing.
A grouch with a heart, definitely.
Yeah, he was definitely the heart of.
A grouch with a heart, though. I mean, as much as he came off as a miserable bastard at times, he cared. He genuinely cared. I mean, you saw that scene in Voyager, the Voyage Home. I mean, Star Trek 4, when he's like dealing with Chekhov and all that shit, and the way he's speaking and helping out random people, just giving them medicine, and the lady grew a new kidney or something. And
I absolutely love that part in the hospital. He's just screw this. I got
like the dark ages, but he cared, even though he was being a right arsehole about it. He fucking cared for everything that was going on. You know what I mean? And I love it. I love it. Great doctor.
Doctor gave me a pill. I grew a new kidney. Yeah, I love that scene.
Okay, so let's jump timelines here. We're going to go over to the Kelvin timeline. I know not a very popular timeline. However, I want to say that Carl Urban is just when I first heard of this casting, I was like, how? The villain from Bourne Supremacy? How is this guy going to play Bones? And by God, I was 1,000% wrong, and I was happy to be so. I love his interpretation of Bones. I love meeting younger Bones from before obviously before the original series. And although the Kelvin timeline has a lot of issues, I really feel like that Carl Urban is just the diamond in the rough in this one.
I gotta jump in. Carl Urban is a fantastic actor. Like, that guy kills everything he does, and yeah, he did a great job of playing McCoy. But the dialogue was shit. Like, he had bad writers. Like the whole lost the whole planet in the divorce. All I got left is my bones. That's not why he was called Bones.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was kind of lame. I was like, but I mean, Carl Urban could sell you a freaking pile of turds with glitter on it, and you'd probably buy it. And that's essentially what he did.
Has he got a star on the Walk of Fame yet? And if not, why the fuck not? Yeah, because he fucking deserves one.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy's a cult, legendary, world-class fucking actor who can do anything, and I genuinely mean anything.
Also, from what I've heard, super nice guy.
Yeah, not surprised. He's a Kiwi, so I love him in The Boys, obviously, and this, like, all the performances, like, I never felt I never was unhappy with Chris Pine and oh god, the guy who played Spock. I forgot the name of the actor.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, with Zachary Quinto's performances, but they never felt like in a way that they were really harboring the true essence of the characters they were portraying, as much as fucking Carl Urban was as McCoy. I mean, he really felt like he like McCoy had like entered his body and he was acting as him. Like DeForest Kelly had entered into Singy's body and Carl Urban's body and acted as him. It was just amazing performance. He really felt authentic, And unfortunately, Quinto and Pine couldn't pull off. There was only a tiny bit with Pine when he went Bones like that. I was like, oh, that sounds a bit like William Shatner, And one moment, and a couple of times maybe with Zachary Quinto, but not enough that they actually felt like those characters as much as Urban did. Urban was fantastic I
agree with you there. I think Carl Urban knocked it out of the park, hands down. But I feel like Zachary Quinto did a great job as Spock too. But I agree with you guys that they suffered from bad writing.
And all of them, by the way, sorry, one more thing. All of them, by the way, didn't feel like any of the fucking characters as much as what's his face felt like Bones. Like fucking Simon Pegg didn't feel like Scotty. What a fucking awful bit of casting, in my opinion. I love Simon Pegg, but he was not supposed to be fucking Scotty. There's some great Scottish actors out there. Throw him in there. You know what I mean? Like, for fuck's sake, maybe Gerard Butler would have been a fucking better.
Oh, no, I gotta jump in. Simon Pegg, once again, fabulous actor, his performance was great considering the material he was given.
I agree.
Like, once again, this is a writing problem. This is not a casting problem.
Yeah, no.
All the cast in the Kelvin.
I agree. But when you're talking about maybe like
Except for, oh no, actually, I've got to jump in. Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan. What the fuck?
No, I agree. I agree with what I'm just saying regarding like how those characters felt when it came to replicating the people they were supposed to replicate. I felt only Carl Urban knocked out the fucking park as a DeForest Kelly's version of McCoy. No one else felt like those versions of those characters, and they just felt like different versions of those characters and just happened to look a little bit like him. That was it.
Okay. Okay, so next one we're going to go into is Dr. Beverly Crusher from Star Trek The Next Generation. Zan, why don't you kick us off with this one?
She still looks fucking amazing. Gates McFadden is like, if I ever wanted somebody to look after me if I was sick, it would be her.
Ability. What do you think of her character?
No, hold on. I was getting there. I'm having to harken back a little bit because unfortunately, even though I do like the character, I think they kind of made her into a bit too much of a motherly figure during the course of DS9, and she had some when it came to particular character episodes that were to do with her. There was some of the cringiest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life, like her being possessed by a ghost and stuff.
Oh, she's fucking dumb.
It's like, what the fuck, and then also like her being like involved in some Black Ops Commando shit with fucking Picard and Worf when they were wearing those black outfits. That was a bit weird, and that was more of a side plot. I forgot what it was all about.
Right before the chain of command where Picard, I believe, got captured by the Cardassians. I believe that's the
yes, that's the one. Again, Captain Jellicoe took over the Enterprise and was the best captain ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And done Troy is solid by making her wear a Starfleet uniform, which she should have worn a long time ago.
Oh, absolutely. But I hate all the cat suits they had on those shows. Anyway, back on track.
Yeah. Regarding her, I think she's a good character. I would like to see her in more Trek coming up. Unfortunately, like I said, she's never really had the best episodes regarding herself, and Wesley Crusher as well. Like, please. I do think that she should have had a relationship with Picard. I think that would have been interesting over the course of the season. I really got not much more to say. I mean, she's a good character. I would like to see her in other versions of Trek in the future as some sort of captain, because we have seen the future version of her, I believe, as a captain of a medical ship. So I would like to see that portrayed one day. That'd be pretty cool.
If I can jump in, because I've got a lot to say on this character.
Anyway,
so horribly underutilized, it was painful. Especially when they fired her for season 2, and that got so much outrage they brought her back for 3 and the rest. No, she's a great character. Gates McFadden, fabulous actress. Also, one of the hottest redheads out there. But no, just it's kind of insulting how underused she was, because every time she was used, when the writing was good, it was solid. Like the 2-parter in Descent, where she took command of the Enterprise while they were fighting the rogue Borg. She's like, screw this. We're going to go hide in a star. Like, this is science fiction. She is commanding the starship. This is great. I absolutely loved her when she had those good moments. But yeah, underutilized and not always written well. Because yeah, the ghost thing, so dumb. That one where she was on the planet with Picard and their minds were linked, that was a little cringe. But almost the rest of the time, she's just flawless actress. Just once again underutilized and at least not overly sexualized like every other pot girl in Trek.
Comrade, do you think they made her too much of a maternal figure? Because I think they did.
And I think they started that back when Wesley Crusher was a thing. But I think like most characters in Star Trek, they do change them here on, and less of that maternal stuff was later on.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and I also think, I mean, with Gates McFadden is, they kind of had the opposite problem with Deep Space Nine, because Deep Space Nine had very well written female characters like Dax. Gates McFadden was. I'm not saying by the way, anything I say about these characters in this has nothing to do with their acting. Like Gates McFadden, I'm pretty sure is a great actress. I think she had a lot of stage background before she even took this role.
Yeah, so pretty much most of them did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these problems are writing problems. They're not acting problems. But with Gates McFadden, with Dr. Crusher, it's like, she just you hit the nail on the head. Is she's underutilized? She was not given her time to shine. Unlike in future Treks, notably Voyager, where you have a doctor who definitely had time to shine. And I think Gates McFadden could have shined, but she, I watched a couple clips recently of her, and I mean, she had a couple great moments, but you're right, like not great episodes, as a whole.
I liked her more in the movies than the show. Actually, I think she was more kick-ass in the films.
So I mean,
she had a great moment in First Contact with the holographic doctor
with the EMH. Yeah.
Janet, I think she was.
There was 2 Voyager actors in that movie. The guy who played Neelix was the bartender in Holodeck. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got anything to add about Gates? Well,
would love to see more of her.
Yeah. I want to see a lot of these characters. Just generally, I would love to see more of these characters return in future Trek in some capacity. And we've seen some of them in Picard.
I kind of think she's kind of done.
I think so too. I mean, maybe in Lower Decks where they can
I'm not asking her to be a main role, but reoccurring appearances in some capacity. If she was still alive in the Star Trek universe, what would she be now? Probably a captain of a medical frigate, like we saw before. So I would love to see something like that. Sorry.
I absolutely love to see that too. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking fan service roles. Like when you saw Janeway in Nemesis. Proper fan service roles. Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Okay, so let's talk really briefly about Dr. Pulaski. I didn't hate her, but I see why fans didn't like her. And the whole ordeal surrounding that was kind of like Trek's first, wasn't it like its first not scandal, but you know what I mean? Like first, like behind the scenes, like drama.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, I mean, I'm glad the fans won and got her back in season 3, because if we would have had 6 more seasons of Pulaski, I probably would have killed myself. I mean, she was okay for like a season, but it's almost like Wesley was still there. And Crusher, Beverly was gone. And then you have, Gates McFadden, and then this Dr. Pulaski who's in there, who's just like, as I said, I wouldn't have minded if she was like the second medical chief, or, like the backup or something like that. Like I didn't mind her, but no, definitely Beverly Crusher was the chief medical officer and needed to stay that way.
As far as Pulaski goes, she's competent actress. The character was interesting, and she actually played a character in the original series. Like, she's a Trek alumni. Like, but yeah, there was just so much hate, so much bashing of her because it's not Dr. Crusher, and the way we lost Dr. Crusher was bullshit.
Yeah,
and I mean that's that's a part of Hollywood. I mean, we have to realize that I mean, that's just like DS9 season 7 with Dax. I hated it. I hated the fact that we lost Jedzia the last season. But I mean, Hollywood politics are Hollywood politics. And unfortunately, the fans lose in some of these, but in this case, the fans lost, but won in the end. So I'm kind of glad that we got Crusher back.
I don't remember. I don't remember too much about her because, and when all of this happened, I was so young. I never knew there was so much politics involved. I was actually not surprised to see Beverly Crusher come back because I saw Wesley Crusher, so it kind of made sense that she did come back. And I just thought at the time it was just how they made it, because it was just so well written. They done a good job with her return. I don't understand why she was kicked off in the first place. Can you guys explain?
She wanted more to do. She wanted to direct. She wanted to have more of an active role in the writing room. And Rick Berman is a sexist piece of shit. And it's like, we don't want women doing anything like that. So
you must wear a cat suit.
Yeah.
So like when she came back, did she end up also getting those privileges as well, or did they come to a compromise?
I mean, I'm not sure, but she
did start directing an episode here and there, but it wasn't until like the end of the series when they're like lame ducking her. They're like, well, we'll give you this episode to direct because we don't care. It's the last season. I'm pretty sure she's on a couple of the episodes, but I'll fact check that while we keep going.
Fair enough. But yeah, Dr. Pulowski, I just don't remember anything. I can't think of a significant thing, when it comes to season 2 that made her stand out for me, like in a particular episode or anything.
I think she made Worf do a Klingon tea ceremony with her. That's all I've got.
Yeah. But it's not to discredit, because unlike the fanboys, I don't have this feeling regarding regarding her like the way they did,
Also, season 2 was just rough to begin with, like not exactly a strong season.
Actually, I'm glad you struck my memory, because a lot of people say that Star Trek never really did well in the first couple of seasons, but it must have done something for people to be pissed off after one season that the character Beverly Crusher won't be back. So.
And it looks like, it looks like she only directed one episode in season 7, episode 19, called Genesis.
19, so they really kept it on the fucking back burner.
Oh yeah. So episode 19. So it was like literally probably a couple episodes before the finale. I'm trying to see if she. But anyway, all right. So
on to DS9.
Yeah, on to
our man Bashir.
Our man, my dear Julian Bashir. So I'll start off with this one. Julian Bashir was terrible in the first 2 seasons of DS9. Absolutely did not like him at all.
So disagree.
Huh?
So disagree, but go on.
But coming into like season 3 and season 4, and when he started getting more like comfortable with Garrick and stuff like that, and he really, I really feel like he started doing a much better job. And the character started to develop more, and that's when I started to like the character. I wasn't a huge fan of him being genetically enhanced.
Gattaca right there, mate.
Yeah, that was fucking dumb.
That was proper Gattaca.
But, I liked Julian. In the long, I loved his, and one of my favorite characters on DS9 is Miles O'Brien. So I really liked the interactions between Miles and Julian, only because Miles could kick the crap out of Julian, and Julian is just an arrogant asshole sometimes. And it's just like, it's so fun to watch their interaction, because they're just, in real life, would they really be friends? Maybe, but I mean, I think they kind of.
Miles O'Brien and Bashir?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, mate. They'll be friends.
Oh, of course.
100%, man. British and Irish, yeah, mate.
One another, and just
we live next door to each other. We've been friends for years, man.
I'm pretty sure the Irish are not big fans of the British.
Well, more than you realize. There's loads of fucking Irish in this country. Loads. And I've been to Ireland a few times. They're lovely people.
Oh, no doubt.
We have a rivalry, and obviously there's some political shit as well, but that's a whole different ballgame. And we have obviously rivalry that we do with the other home nations. But I'm not surprised they get along. But you have more in common, because because of the locale and stuff like that. When you're out in fucking space, and one's British and the other one's Irish.
Well, it's also they're both nerds, and and I mean that in the nicest way possible, because I'm a nerd. Like, yeah, they've got those like man-child wonderful like interests. Like, yeah, they have so much in common that you actually get to see that develop over time, and that's something I really like about that friendship, because it's not at first. Because in the early Julian Bashir, the first 2 seasons, yes, he's this young upstart, like full of vibrant energy and a little bit naive. And a lot of people did not like that, which is why the writers changed the character, or started changing the character. I personally love that. Like, I loved him like being this arrogant, cocky shit, screwing up every relationship he tries to have, hitting on everybody.
Everything, yeah.
Because
I love that about him. A playboy doctor. I loved it.
but what made me love the character is when Garrick showed up. And Garrick, by the way, is the best DS9 character, and I will fight both of you to the death if you disagree.
I would say Nog is, but Garrick would definitely be right up there. I would anyway.
But his relationship to Garrick, when Garrick first comes into the scene and is like totally like eye banging Bashir, and like his reactions to it, like Alexander Siddig, he's a great actor, like Great performance. And yeah, they also had a friendship that evolved over time. And then, of course, his with Chief O'Brien, him trying to bang Dax all the time and failing until season 7 when he got a new one.
I know I didn't like that at all either. I was like, okay, sloppy symbiote seconds. I mean,
now the genetic engineering stuff where he's like a superhuman, like that was sloppy. We didn't need that, but at the same time, at least we got to see more Bashir.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, the first 2 seasons, I didn't like him all that much. But yeah, like once Garrick started to grow in, and once the relationship, the friendship between O'Brien and Bashir started to grow, that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm on board with this all the way.
One of my favorite moments of the character, though, is when he was replaced by a changeling. Yeah. And of course, the real Bashir comes back, and Chief O'Brien says, yeah, couldn't tell a difference. If anything, you were nicer.
Yeah.
When that twist, when you found out he was a changeling, and I had that was amazing, man.
Yeah,
one of the most amazing things and stuff. Like they never even like he's been there for God knows how long, and you just find out during the course of the show. Like fucking brilliant. I loved it. That was so good.
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like although that was great and it was handled okay, I felt like that was a last minute decision that they made. I don't feel like that was something that they had plotted out since the beginning.
Even if it was brilliant.
You're probably right. But yeah.
Until like all of a sudden Julian Bashir comes stumbling in that cell room and he's still in that teal uniform, so he's been gone for at least a year. It was like 9 months or something like that, because they had just replaced the uniforms that past year. So it's like he knew he had been in there for a while, and then I felt like it was very. I think they made that as not a last minute decision, but kind of. And on top of that, if he was genetically engineered, I don't see how they could have kept him that long. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he would have found a way out using his super brain. And that's another thing that leads up to the whole writing problem with the Bashir character is they kind of I feel like they shoehorned that whole genetically engineered thing in.
It felt like the writers were thinking, hey, we need a Data or a Spock, but we can't afford a new actor. So what do we do?
Let's just make one.
Yeah.
Jadzia was their fucking Data and Spock.
I was Jadzia had was the Data.
Jadzia, because she was such a long-lived person. She had with so much history of different lives in her that she had the wisdom to make the smart decisions.
But horrible thing about her character, and this is not her fault, this is writing fault, she was the science officer and hardly ever got to do any fucking science.
Yeah, I agree. I love Jadzia's character. Anything, but whenever it came to her job, it was like few and far between. Anyway.
Yeah.
But look, regarding Bashir and that plot twist with him being a changeling and all of that shit, I think that's for me, I still think it's one of the greatest bits of writing in Star Trek, and especially for that show. But it gets so overlooked because there was always a narrative with DS9 for the bigger picture, for the end game of that particular show, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's fucking brilliant. It was so fucking brilliant.
I wish it would have not been a last minute thing because, as I said, there could have been much better ways to build up that. They could have put little hints here and there that shown that he wasn't actually Bashir, and but they were so small that we wouldn't have noticed, and we would have went back and watched and been like.
I actually did. I went back to the previous 5 episodes before that of looking for some kind of sign that Bashir's a changeling. Nothing. You're probably right that it was a last minute thing, and yeah, I do wish that was built up a little bit more. But it's still, in the end, I loved it.
Oh, I like that.
It paid off. It paid off so well.
It's a Bashir! Oh my god! And then, of course, they pan over to Bashir, the changeling Bashir, and he's got that evil smirk on it. It's like he turned on evil mode.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh god, please no.
Now, regarding him being a super brain, now I didn't like that. I liked the actual episode when it got discovered as well, and one of the reasons why I like Bashir as well so much as well is that he really felt like a character I could relate to. Like, this was the first time I was coming across, an ethnic minority Brit in Star Trek. For me that, and who was more inclined to myself. Fucking brilliant, and I loved it, but. I liked his character as well. He reminded me a little bit of myself too. So this idea of him being also a super brain, if he was, I think he would also be a lot more colder as well.
Yeah,
I think he would be a lot more colder.
I mean, I don't mind the whole genetically enhanced thing. I just feel like it should have not been made him a super brain. I feel like it should have made like because they even said he was falling behind in all the subjects. He was, he was turning out to be very behind in a lot of things. I feel like they should have just made him normal and genetically enhanced him, not like like a super brain type character. Like, I mean, I would have been okay with that. Like where they're like, you were definitely, you had some deficits, cognitively, you were having issues with hand-eye coordination and stuff like that. So we tweaked you genetically to bring you up to snuff with, normal people. Like they didn't go like the whole 9 yards and like made him like a superb shot and, a crack, a super brain and everything like that. Like I would have been okay if he just like, we just tweaked you up. We brought you up to the standards of a normal human being. And
I never really played on the super brain thing much anyway, which was.
Oh no, they did. They did. I feel like they did a lot in the end.
Yeah, they did. So they did a lot of episodes, like him with the other folks that were enhanced, like trying to like.
Oh yeah. Actually, you're right. I forgot.
And I mean, I love how they're like, they talk about the eugenics wars and stuff like that, and they just let his father off with a slap on the wrist, and they still let Julian like in Starfleet, and I'm like. I didn't want the character to go anywhere, but I'm like, okay, but it's like almost an odd, like they don't want an enhanced person in Starfleet. Don't ask me why, and maybe because it was the necessity of the times of the Dominion War that they had to. But the Admiral, I watched the clip earlier, and the Admiral was like, for every Julian Bashir, there's also a Khan Soon waiting in the wings or something like that. And it's like, okay, I see it, but at the same time, it's like, they didn't really enforce the law very well. Go to prison for 2 years on a penal colony, which is a luxury resort of luxury. They probably have holodecks on those prisons. Okay,
Federation prison is best prison.
Yeah, right. Okay, we ready to move on from Bashir? Anyone got anything else to add?
Oh, I can throw in one more thing about Bashir.
Absolutely. So
during the Dominion War, the evolution of that bright, naive, boyish mentality he had just got darker and darker and more broken and worn down. And you could just see it in the way he played that character. Like, I love that evolution because it wasn't just the normal episodic Trek. Here we have a character who is physically and mentally changing. And I love that.
Well, and the other thing was the one episode where he was trying to cure the white, and then Miles basically had to drag him off that planet to,
Yeah.
So I mean, and I mean, I feel like through the actor's performance, I feel like not Miles, Julian would have stayed. I really felt like through the actor's performance that he would have stayed on that planet until he found a cure for the white or died trying.
Yep.
So, and that, I mean, there's a bunch of good episodes with Julian. As I said, the first two were just like, ooh, come on. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely some good stuff. Okay. Sam, you got anything else to add?
No.
All right. Moving on to Voyager, which is Zam's bread and butter. We're going to talk about the emergency holographic doctor.
Did he ever get a name?
Yeah.
What was his name again?
Last episode, it was Joe, I think.
That was in like the alternate future, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, Joe. Like, I mean, it makes sense.
I don't know if I want to call him Joe. I'll just call him the doctor.
He's the doctor. He's the EMH.
Yeah.
All right, Zam. We'll start. You know what? We'll start. Comrade, we'll start with you.
So I love Robert Picardo. He's once again, all of these actors are fantastic, and
in
him
space.
especially. The Doctor was just a cool character. It was an interesting concept, and it let us explore the concept of artificial intelligence. There were just so many aspects to it that was fun, but the Rick Berman era writing kind of hampered some things. They made him way too arrogant and not grumpy enough. So yeah, he wasn't a perfect character, but he was a fun character.
Oh yeah. I love one of the most notable for me is the ACH, the ECH, the emergency command hologram.
Oh, when he hung out with Andy Dick?
No, on Voyager, when when if the crew's incapacitated, they can activate the ECH, which is the
I know what you're talking about now.
And then
the little dots.
That's like my favorite. I'm like, oh god, that's so hilarious. But no, that was actually another great episode with one of my favorite Starfleet ships, the Prometheus.
Yep.
Where he's hanging out with who was it?
Andy Dick.
Yeah. So
that was great.
I'm sorry. Back to you, Cameron. I kind of hijacked you. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. No, like I said, he was great character, very interesting, very overutilized. Like he got his screen time, no doubts. Like
Yeah.
fuck Harry Kim, we got the Doctor. Fuck Tom Paris in some cases because we have the Doctor. He was a great character. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Chakotay, Chakotay didn't get any screen time until like the last season.
And that's probably a good thing because they screwed him up from the very beginning.
Yeah, regarding the Doctor, you said he got the most screen time, and I was going to say like there's so many episodes dedicated to the Doctor
Once a
on
season.
Voyager.
Yeah,
I mean like really good episodes as well, though, from simple ones of him wanting to be an opera singer for this planet, to the more scary ones where they gave him the Dr. Jekyll sort of persona and stuff like that, and those other ones as well. Where he was utilized, like when they put him on that planet, and he was on the planet, which there were different. Like the planet was going at a slow, an accelerated rate to them, So like every second on Voyager is like 1,000 years on that planet or some shit like that.
yeah.
And the Doctor was there only for a second, and he'd been gone for like 3 years, and stuff like that. Like this used him so well, And then you saw when you go about evolution as well. You saw evolution in him. Like there's one point where he met another EMH version of himself, and that EMH version was as naive as he was at the beginning of Voyager. But because he's got so much experience with all the adventures they've been on, he had to constantly put that EMH in its place. And I love all that shit. They really knew that they had a world-class actor in their hands in Robert Picardo. He's been in so many amazing stuff in the past prior to Voyager and after it as well, and they utilized him so much. And it is to the detriment to people like maybe Tom Paris. I think Harry Kim got used a little bit personally. I think
We did not get enough Harry Kim.
I would say maybe Chakotay we didn't get enough of. Well, maybe. But nevertheless, some of the characters, like some of the other characters, like what's her name, Elf Girl? I forgot her fucking name.
Oh, the one that went crazy and like
the one who only lived like for 9 years and had a pedophilic relationship with Neelix.
Yeah.
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah, so like all that shit, like useless, absolutely useless. I did think Neelix did grow, but we're not talking about him. But yeah, the Doctor, fantastic character, and his novel. Remember the Doctor's novel? I mean, like Jesus Christ, there's so many great fucking episodes with the Doctor. Like, that's why I love Voyager so much.
Of that.
I've got to jump in because one of the best portrayals of the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager was not played by Robert Picardo. Jerry Ryan, when she was possessed by the Doctor.
Yes,
I loved her playing the Doctor. She was great.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. I mean, I recall it, but I'm trying to remember. I don't watch Voyager.
And he had his own family. I mean, like Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh God, that episode.
Oh my God. He had it all on Voyager. He was the most, like out of all the Doctors and all the shows, like he had the most like episodes dedicated for him, or where he was significantly involved in the episode. He when you got the holographic emitter and shit like that, all the shenanigans that came from that as well. Like Jesus Christ, he was in everything, and he's not even fucking human. He's a fucking artificially created fucking thing.
Well, that's how we roll in America. Everything fake is good.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Okay. So, I mean, we can talk about this Doctor all day. I mean, and as I said, one of definitely the bright spots of Voyager. I'm not a big Voyager fan, but definitely one of the bright spots of Voyager for sure. Although
there's another episode where like where he ended up in the future, and he was like having to explain to these people that Voyager wasn't like a battleship. You remember, because they were in the black gloves, and it was like
great episode. Yeah,
like Jesus Christ, like seriously, I think the best episodes were the Doctor episodes when it comes to Voyager. Come to think of it, they were just so memorable.
Fight off those bugs. That was great CGI.
We're talking the 90s, mate.
No, it's still pretty bad even for the 90s. You had Jurassic Park, and then you had that.
Yeah, Jurassic Park had way.
Yeah. Jurassic Park is a movie.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I do want to talk really quick about a different Doctor of a different practice, but and it's the same actor. Let's talk about Dr. Zimmerman. who created the EMH. He is a doctor, but he's not like a physician, obviously. But I love that character.
Oh, he was great. He was great in DS9. He was great in his Voyager episodes.
Yeah, anywhere. I mean, they put him in Voyager. He was in a Deep Space Nine episode where they were gonna make the new EMH based off of Julian Bashir.
Yep.
I think that's when they found out he was a
yeah, that was the super brain one.
Yeah, the super brain one. But I mean, anytime he showed up, it was always great. Interacting with himself. Trek really, I think, did. I'm trying to remember, but I think Trek was really one of the first ones to start pioneering the interacting with yourself stuff. I'm pretty sure it was started on Next Gen, because I know that there were a couple interactions with Riker and his transporter clone.
Yeah, or Data and Lore.
Yeah, Data and Lore. So I mean, Trek pioneered that. So I mean, it's always great to see these characters like bounce off of themselves and see how that goes, which sometimes is good and sometimes is meh.
Oh, but that episode where Zimmerman's dying and the Doctor comes all the way back to the Alpha Quadrant, like the interaction between the two, like this loving, like the admiration the Doctor had for Zimmerman, like the love when he like interacted, that touched me. That was moving. That was great performance and great writing.
Did he eventually die? I don't remember.
No, he saved him.
He did? Okay. As I said, I'm not much of a Voyager.
I hated that white robe he had to wear. Like, come on, man. It's like, come on, man. It's like, what are you wearing that fucking thing for? There's no need to wear that.
Maybe it's cold in Jupiter Station. I don't know.
I hated that white robe. I hated it. He's got his fucking Starfleet uniform underneath it, and he's wearing that shitty ass robe like he's some sort of space Jesus. I couldn't stand it, man.
Oh well. Okay, so now we're gonna move into Enterprise, where we have a very odd Doctor in the Star Trek franchise, Dr. Phlox. You guys have anything to add about Dr. Phlox?
Oh, plenty. Phlox was great. So the writing in Enterprise was, I mean, I'm sorry, it was just the worst out of all the Rick Berman Star Trek series. But Phlox was a great character, very well portrayed. But if I've got to talk about Phlox, I've got to talk about that episode in the Orville where the Doctor from Voyager and Phlox go at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Best fan service ever. But no, Phlox was great. He was fun. He was weird. We got to explore the idea of polyamory, and something I don't think Star Trek had touched on before that point. Yeah, fun character.
Zam?
Yeah, he was the bubbly guy, wasn't he? The most bubbliest of all the Doctors up to so far. He seemed to have great joy in what he was doing, and he wanted to help people. He was probably one of the most approachable Doctors in that sense. But if I was a hot looking female and I had to go to Bashir, I'd think twice. But you wouldn't think twice about Phlox. You know what I mean? It was a nice character. Not many, unlike his predecessor, he doesn't have many memorable episodes. Maybe you guys can fill me in, but I'm trying to remember.
I can give you one right now. When his wife showed up and his wife was flirting with Trip, and he's like, "Yeah, you should totally bang my wife."
Yeah, like he has more than one wife, doesn't he?
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, he has three wives.
Yeah,
he's got loads of fucking kids as well and shit like that. And he was talking. I remember his laboratory. So his where he did his sick bay was much more alive than all the other ones. If you think about it, shit moving about all over the fucking place. You know what I mean? And it was an interesting sick bay. I'll give him that. He felt like a bit of he had that nutty professor, but not necessarily dangerous, but nutty professor vibe about him. He almost came across like a bit of a mad professor, mad inventor. Almost like an Emmett Brown to a degree.
Oh yeah, I loved his medical philosophy. Hypo spray? We don't need no hypo spray. Here, put these eels on your penis.
Yeah.
Well done. Phlox was great. No complaints whatsoever.
I mean, I really liked. I thought he was a great addition. It was, and I think this was kind of the first time we've had like a Doctor that wasn't Starfleet on a Starfleet.
Human,
huh?
And wasn't human. I mean, you could say that about Thingy, about the Doctor from Voyager, but he he replicated the human. Phlox was the first non-human.
Yeah.
First
non-human, first non-Starfleet.
Yeah. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Dr. Phlox. I disagree with Comrade. I thoroughly enjoyed Enterprise, as I've got weird views.
I did not say I did not enjoy Enterprise. I just said it was the most problematic when it comes to the writing.
Sometimes. And we can get into that a whole different day. Okay, so I mean, but I kind of echo all of your guys' thoughts on Dr. Phlox. I mean, you're right. His med bay was alive. He had, there were tons of fun. It was a new avenue for Starfleet medicine, and even though it was, even though it was a prequel, they still did a pretty good job with this character. And do we ever see his species in any of the other shows prior to this?
No, denobulins were invented for Enterprise.
Okay. Which I kind of was sad about, only because I don't mind them inventing races, but I think everything they invent, unless it's like a race that went extinct, I mean, we never see them on Star Trek. And I know it's a big universe, and maybe the denobulins never joined Starfleet. I'd have to look back and see if they actually ever did, but or not Starfleet, the Federation, and I think
it's implied that they were one of the earlier species to join.
Yeah, but we never see them, and that's the only thing that irritates me about a prequel and making up new races.
Well, at the same time, though, there are supposedly thousands of planets in the Federation. At some point they've got to show us something new.
But that's my only issue with the prequels, though, is we've never seen. Now, if we saw a denobulin and I don't know, in later
the original series, I understand.
Huh?
If we saw them in the original series, then it wouldn't be so bad to see them in the Enterprise. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But also, Enterprise still did it explored the Andorians and Tellarites. We got to see the original races. But
I got to understand Orions better.
Yeah, once again, big galaxy, big Federation. So yeah, we kind of need more races to pop up.
And I understand. It's sad because it's just they never showed up in original series, Next Gen, Voyager, DS9, anywhere. And that's why I'm wow, that's why
them not being part of the Federation or Starfleet, or sorry, there was no Federation then, of Starfleet, kind of makes it a bit more palatable and understandable why you might not have seen them, because they're not integrating with us as much as other aliens.
Okay, so now we are past classic Trek, or I don't even want to say classic because it's not classic.
We're completely out of Star Trek doctors. No more Star Trek doctors to speak of.
Oh man,
we got a few more.
There are more. So we'll talk about Dr. Culber, which from Discovery. Not too much to add here for me. I like his character. I wish, and they've started in season 3 to give him a lot more, more moments rather than just being the lead science engineer officer's dude, or partner, whatever you want to call him.
Wait a minute, I thought he died in season 1.
I thought you said you've seen season 2.
I've seen season 1 and I saw a lot of season 2, but I thought he died.
Then you would know. Yeah, he did. Then you would know what happens.
He came back.
He came back, obviously.
I remember at one point the really pale engineer dude, whose name I don't remember, had some kind of fungus hallucination where he was in the spore planet or whatever and saw him. But
and they gave some Trek explanation, which I cannot remember.
It was some kind of spore pod that reanimated him from the spore plane. I don't know. It's a very Trek explanation as to why he came back. But honestly, I kind of like him better now that he's back.
Yeah, but he had interactions with Stamets, and he had some spores on him and shit like that. Fuck knows. But
I mean, season 1, the only thing I remember about him is he died. He had no character.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But in season 3, he's definitely gotten a lot more character moments. He's definitely more of a focal point. He's, as I said, he's not just Stamets' side thing. So I mean, the only thing.
Are they married? Him and Stamets, are they married or just a couple or boyfriends?
I believe they're married.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
But I mean, the only thing I remember from him from season 1 is them brushing their teeth together in the morning, and then him.
And then Stamets walked off, and his image was still in the mirror. and I felt they never really resolved that. Was it Stamets who walked off?
No, I do remember that now.
Yeah.
So I mean, we don't know much about him. Not much of a doctor, and like not much of doctor-ish stuff that we can pull from. I think the actor's doing a pretty good job for what he's given. And as I said, I think he's going to kind of start showing more in this season because they're definitely putting a little bit more focus on the side characters this season. It's not just all the Michael Burnham show, and I'm very happy about that. Zam, what are you thinking about Colbert? This
season has made me love the guy. I fucking love him. Voyager Discovery has needed somebody like that. That sort of character. I felt a real calm, not just in Saru, but Saru initially was as a character, but an alternative version to Saru, but another calm voice. And there's usually more than one in every group, in every Star Trek group. So he was the other one, and in these last couple of episodes he's been in on Discovery, I've absolutely loved how they portrayed him, how they've used him, the dialogue they've given him. When he was doing a medical log, Discovery. That was the first time Discovery did one of those, and we have and it was a medical log, not a captain's log, but nevertheless it was good to hear the narration and all of that. I very much like this character. I like what they're doing with him. I feel he'll be a very important person on Discovery in the future, almost like playing the Troy character as well, because he's the closest thing they've got to somebody they can talk to. But I feel like he's there to talk to people, not just to heal them physically, but mentally as well. He's giving off that vibe definitely this season, and I like that. And I'm just liking this character a lot. He's a good Doctor character.
Comrade, I know you don't have too much to say, but you got anything?
Sorry. Before I apologize. I'm sorry. I want you to add something, Comrade. But the first couple of seasons, but I was only talking about this season. The first couple of seasons, I really hate the way that they killed them off. I mean, they were trying to do this Game of Thrones vibe initially with Discovery. It wasn't what we need. We need people to be part of this crew, not fucking killing them off willy-nilly, not this fucking early, not 3 episodes into fucking season 1, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I was a bit iffy about him coming back, but now he is back, and him and Stamets are back on it again. There's no, but their relationship was kind of not working too well, but I'm glad they're back together again now, so that's all good. And now they can just focus on his character and how he relates with the crew more, just generally, than his relationships and coming back from the dead. Now that's all been established. What they're doing with him now is much better, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Sorry.
I mean, when it comes to this particular Doctor, I just don't know much about him. I initially liked him. He seemed like a nice person. They wouldn't really do anything with him, and then boom, he's dead. And apparently Star Trek is a dystopian nightmare land now.
Too much fantasy.
Yeah, come on, man. This is supposed to be a show about hope
and science fiction,
and they get back into that in season 3. But okay. So, and that's a conversation for another day. All right, so then we'll move on to our last one, who is the most recent Doctor from Lower Decks, which, by the way, fantastic show.
Fucking love it.
Fantastic.
Technically, you are skipping one.
I am?
Picard, didn't he have an EMH? The captain on whatever the hell.
Oh, yeah.
He had an EMH for himself.
All right, well, then I guess go ahead and add that.
Not much to say about that. It was just funny. I did not like Picard, but I loved that captain, and I loved his ship, and I loved all of his various holograms.
And he gave
Poe Dameron
accent. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I just thought they said, we need the Poe Dameron on this show. Let's just get this. And by the way, that actor, fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. But he had to play a variety of different characters when it came to his holograms. And
I loved his Scotty homage doing the Scottish engineer accent.
I rolled my eyes to it a little bit, but I appreciated it at the same time. I know what you're doing here, you fucks.
So much in Picard did not work, but that is something that was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. But yes, but the EMH. I'm glad he spoke up and explained, in Picard that this fucking blonde chick's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't, I'd be pissed. Other than that, that's all I remember him contributing.
Yeah, really not much to say on that. Just like a minor thing, but it was fun.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that one. And then the last one, as I said, from Lower Decks is Ta'ana, which is the Cadian doctor.
Cadian, yeah.
Have you watched Lower Decks, Comrade? We did not have a chance to talk about it before we got on here.
Okay, I will say, like, I have not been a big fan of New Trek, but Lower Decks is hilarious. Lower Decks is just comedy Star Trek fan service. Like, I'm not getting my sci-fi fix, but I'm getting that fan service. Q showed up, and it was played by John Delancey.
Yeah,
Sam hated that.
I love
that. I like Q, but I didn't like the fact how they use Q. Just for I wanted him to be an actual episode.
The thing is, you can't look at Lower Decks as like actual Star Trek. This is
I know, but because we were teased with Q, but they teased us with commercials of Q and stuff like that. And so when they do that, then I think to myself, damn, you're setting us up for an episode of Q instead of maybe giving us a cameo at the end, which we didn't know about, which would have been much better, in my opinion. Not knowing that Q was going to be in it, and then maybe seeing it at the end would have been better for me than knowing that Q was going to be in it, and that's all we fucking got of him. You know what I mean?
For me, I didn't watch the previews, or the trailer or any of that. So, I went into it blind. I was happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got it better than I did. I wanted what your experience, mate. You know what I mean?
So, okay. So, but the Cadian doctor, I like. I think it's a him. Is it a him?
I thought it's a she.
It's a woman.
Maybe it's a trans Cadian.
Maybe.
I don't fucking know.
But I mean, she's kind of like a callback to McCoy, kind of like that cranky doctor.
She is playing a crotchety cat lady McCoy. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. No problem.
In every aspect of her, because she does give a shit at the same time. She might be miserable, but she does give a shit.
She's like, pump this heart.
But also, she's not the doctor we're supposed to focus on in Lower Decks because it's all about the lieutenants and ensigns. And I can't remember the character's name, the medical assistant or whatever.
Tindy?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I think her name's Tindy. I mean, I guess you're right. I guess she is the medical. I mean, it's interesting to have an Orion medical officer, on a Starfleet vessel.
Yeah.
Well, she's a science officer or a medical officer.
I think she's both, a little bit of both.
Yeah, she's been in medical, and I think she's done sciencey things too. So
I think they're implying that the Lower Decks people have to do everything.
Yeah, the Lower Decks are like the workhorse people, and then I'm sure once she gets to lieutenant, she'll have to pick a path. I guess it's kind of like college. You have to get your gen eds in, and then you got to pick your major.
Yeah, but she's a fun character. No problem with her at all.
Mm-hmm. Lower Decks is a fantastic show. I love that. I love that.
You've seen all the episodes, yeah, Comrade?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how did you feel when you saw Shanks get killed off?
Man, which one was Shanks?
The Bajoran.
Oh, I was pissed. I love his character.
I love his character too, and I got emotional over that. Man.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe I was fucking getting all emotional over this shit. And
I'm just like, this guy is pretty much Bajoran Worf. Like, how can you not love him?
And I love the way that this feels so much like Star Trek with going in a different direction that works, and I love it. And even the cat character. I'm not a fan of human-like animals being aliens. I can't stand that shit. It's a lack of imagination, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's a throwback from TOS or TAS.
Yeah, but I want better from Star Trek. I just really do. Like, this is just such a why is it looking? Why don't we come across aliens that look like animals from other planets? Stuff. That's how I think when I see shit like that. It's always our fucking animals, that end up being aliens. It just pisses me off. And
universe was seeded by one race, and they're some races look like this and some races look like that, and I don't know. That
episode of TNG was the best thing ever because that was saying, here's an explanation for our low makeup and effects budgets. Here's why everyone's a humanoid.
Actually, I vaguely remember that, but yeah.
I remember it too. I mean, it was a pretty funny. When I became older and came to that realization, it was pretty funny.
Also, that was one of the most Star Trek of all Star Treks. people aggressively coming together, finding out they have something in common, and be like, oh, maybe we can have peace. Like, that was just such a Star Trek moment for Star Trek.
Yep. All right, so I think we have wrapped things up on the Doctor. We are almost at an hour, which is our typical run time. Gentlemen, do you have anything else to add before we sign off?
Yes, I would like to see a Klingon Doctor one day in the future Star Trek show.
He
We
did
had an Enterprise.
technically.
In Enterprise, we had a Klingon Doctor.
Yeah, he was not as a
like a full-on mainstay Klingon Doctor, like who just like grabs their patients and throws them down on the fucking bed. You know what I mean? And like does surgery without anesthetic. Yeah,
I'd be down to watch that.
We have an episode of Lower Decks that showed us like Tindy goes on a Klingon ship and has to like hang out with a Klingon doctor for the whole episode, and like yeah, you get that kind of stuff. Like, hold this. Are we gonna anesthetic? Anesthetic is for the dishonored. Just starts cutting them open.
I'm surprised we've never had a Vulcan Doctor after all this time.
I'm sure there've been side character.
Yeah, but like, but it means like the actual Doctor, which is why I suggested a Klingon one as well, because having that for 7 seasons would be very funny.
Vulcans are just so limited and so specific in how they can be played. Like, I don't see a value in a Vulcan Doctor.
And I feel like, yeah, they're very regimented, and yeah, I feel like they wouldn't think outside the box enough. It's almost why you almost can't have an EMH, but they did it so well on Voyager that you don't care. But like, I feel like a computer program being a primary doctor would not.
Yeah. Well, the EMH you could push around. They couldn't really push around a Vulcan, but they beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. We're going to go around one more time. I want to know who your favorite Doctor is from Star Trek.
Oh, God.
Still McCoy, always McCoy.
All right, McCoy. Sam.
I guess I'll go with Bashir, but I don't really. I love them all, man. They've all got I've got a piece for all of them. Yeah.
Zammy, I'm with you. It's nostalgia for me is why I love McCoy.
Yeah, I'm just going for Bashir for the sake of it, because I never really thought of the Doctors as people I favorite more. I mean, they've all been in great shows, but yeah, Bashir, because I can relate to him.
Mine is also Bashir, just because I love Deep Space Nine, and that character probably I want to say that the EMH had the most growth throughout the series, but I feel like Bashir had more growth as a character, and it really irritated me in season 2 or 3 of Voyager when they just kind of wiped the Doctor and he had to like learn everything, like learn all of the stuff he learned over the past couple years again. Like I thought that was really stupid. It made me
yeah.
So anyway,
yeah, triggering my memories. And by the way, Colbert is online to being also one of my favorite Doctors. Like I said, like just to see like the growth, and that's one of the things when you're watching a show, you are seeing development. And we're on season 3 of Discovery now, and you're seeing changes, development, and stuff. And I'm really liking what they're doing with him, and long may it continue.
All right. Well, Zam, where can people find you?
They can find me on Zamir Patois on YouTube, Zamaro01 on Twitter, as well as Twitch. If you like watching online gaming, I also stream there as well as YouTube. Sign up for both of them. Don't forget to also look for our Discord as well. It's got the Nerd Nation logo, same as on the YouTube channel.
All right, comrade, where can we find you besides the motherland?
Well, I currently live in an abandoned subway station near the 7 train in New York City, so you don't want to find me. There's lots of rats, lots of bugs, and if you do, wear a mask, though.
Where can we find you online?
You can't. I'm an incredibly private person.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm glad you crawled out of your hole to join us today.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. You guys are great.
Thank you very much.
So that wraps it up. Next Highly Logical podcast, we're probably looking at doing a fantasy command crew draft where we'll do another Star Trek fan film commentary. Depends on what we decide to do. Keep an eye on our channel. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you like what you see here. And that's it. I mean,
find us on Facebook.
Yeah, and our Facebook. If you see the logo that you have here on our YouTube channel, you find it on Facebook. You will have found Nerd Nation. All right. Well, everybody say peace out.
Bye.
Oh, by the way, find them, not me. They rock. I'm a horrible person. Run away.
You can join us anytime.